Hello and welcome to Unsourced Wall. My name is Elvis, and as always, I'm your host. There's not a lot to talk about this week, just maybe one big news topic, couple reviews, and what I watched this week, so let's just get right into it. First off, the big news topic is that apparently DC is doing this whole tournament bracket style, voting scheme for what new story arc or OGN or miniseries they should do. Stuff like The Return of Ambush Bug or Son of the Creeper, and it all sound really fun. There has been some controversies though, because one or two of the picks are meant to be more progressive and representative and very sort of inclusive, but they're being pitted against really insurmountable odds, like a Green Lantern book or more Robin stuff, more Bat title stuff. And it seems like a lot of people are thinking that if DC want to do more inclusive stuff, more representative stuff, more diverse stuff, they should just do it instead of having people vote it out and then clean their hands of it when they obviously won't win against big mainline title stuff. And I agree with that. I agree that DC should have the balls. I voted for JLQ. I think that sounds really fun if done well. But other than that, I'm looking on the bright side. A lot of these card choices do sound like they could be a really fun time, and hopefully the ones that are the most interesting win out, but fingers crossed, you never know. Anyway, let's move on to what I read this week. First off, we have X-Men number 19, which is part 2 of the Vault two-parter. And it's really damn good. It's so character-heavy, so emotion-heavy, so engaging and immersive. And it does that whole Hickman-style thing where we're going through different time periods, and we have a lot of charts and a lot of timeline-heavy, graph-heavy stuff, but it doesn't lose any emotional impact. It's still very thematically focused. It's so substantial feeling that I feel like I read an actual story only if in one issue, which is kind of a impressive thing for the X-Men title in this whole Hickman era to pull off, because that's been doing this kind of iffy anthology thing, and hopefully it does break out of that. But as of now, these two issues actually as a pair have been good. They've been really good. I don't know what else to say about it. I love the way that these characters are, in these two issues, so zeroed in on and so developed and put at such plight, and it all feels tangible and coherent and just so impactful and powerful. So 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what fallout from this is, because there is definitely going to be fallout. And next up, the other thing I read this week is The Other History of the DCU, number 3. This one is about Katana, and this is also a really good issue, and it's continuing the trend of The Other History of DCU being this classic in the making. Now, I won't say it's as good as issue number 2, because it really kind of isn't, and it might be one of the weakest issues so far in terms of actually having a cohesive character throw line. This one definitely feels more like a Gump kind of story, where we're kind of being carried along with big important DCU events, so it can feel very jarring and very sort of wafting, and it kind of goes over the place. And 1 minute you're talking about how important this one character beat was and this one character moment was, and then we're going through 3 pages of Death of Superman and Whiplash. Honestly, we're talking about how Batman was actually, in Katana's eyes, this really emotionally sort of vulnerable person, and the next minute he's like, oh yeah, and then Batman did this horrible thing to us, and then we disbanded the Outsiders because that's what happened in this point of comics history. And it doesn't feel as tight, unlike the other 2 issues, and most importantly, and most definitely issue number 2, which felt like, even though some of the character interactions with the DCU stuff was put on the wayside, there was a lot more going on. There was a lot more focus and emphasis on creating a solid character through line. And this one, it tries to get at that, but it feels too much like a greatest hits type thing. And it's still really good. I think that John Ridley is still doing some amazing character stuff. He's making some amazing observations through these POV filters that are really sort of prescient and really sort of powerful and just so poignant. There's so many lines in this where Katana just really sort of cuts deep into the ingrained sort of hypocrisies of the DCU, as seen through this kind of real world filter that Ridley is trying to go for, this whole documentarian style tone and atmosphere. And he's really hitting the nail on the head, and it's really amazing. So even though this is not the best issue, it's still a really great one, and it's one that I think definitely every DC fan should read. This is a series that every DC fan should be reading in general, and so 2 thumbs up. Anyways, moving on to what I watched this week. We have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2, Star-Spangled Man. And this is a weaker episode, but still pretty okay. I think that the best thing with this series so far is that, yes, we're finally getting character work done for these two characters that had no character before. And I think that Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie are still doing a really great job at that. But anything else in this episode is really, really weak. The whole threat and antagonists they're setting up, nonsensical. The buddy cop duo dynamic humor they're trying to do, terrible. Every single sentence, line, and gag they force Bucky and Sam into, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's just unbearable to watch and to hear. And the actors are doing their best, but they just can't sell really bad dialogue and jokes. Other than that, I think this episode's still pretty decent. It's still better than the Captain America sequels. It's actually doing more of Captain America like mythology and lore as set up in the movies at least than either sequels did. Like we're actually doing something full circle of how the first Avenger worked and doing some things that the first Avenger laid out that neither sequels capitalized on. And I think that's actually really awesome, really cool. But other than that, it's still not great. It's still not really that engaging. It's just something to put on. I do hope that it delves more into Isaiah Bradley and sort of his role in this series. It would be a shame if it was just like a cameo or just like a really tertiary character. So I hope that they bring that all back around because I think that's really one of the most interesting things that this series can do. But fingers crossed. Overall, this is a really decent episode. I hope that next one that comes out in like 2 days, really sort of settles this show on the right foot. We're getting Zemo again, so fingers crossed they actually do something interesting with him this time. But overall, 2 thumbs middle. Anyway, that's it for this week. I want to say thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. I want to give a shout out to co-writers for the show at DOTMCE. Please check them out. They're amazing. I also want to say that I have this new 2.5-hour podcast special coming out like on Friday where me, Rover Queen, and our good friend AJ, we're doing this like roundtable discussion on Justice League, the Snyder Cut. And yeah, hope to see you there and hope you have a great time listening to that too. Anyway, have a good one, have a great week, and see you again next time.